One. Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 31 of Blown Speakers. As usual, I'm Dave Henigman coming in from Yokohama, Japan, and we have the great Montgomery Fox coming in from DC, and we are welcoming our very special guest, Eric Mahoney, coming in from Dayton, Ohio. Welcome, Eric.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're honored to have you.
Well, I'm happy to be here and chat me. I love to geek out over all kinds of things like that. So, my pleasure.
And you're back in Dayton now, huh? Your old stomping grounds, right? Leaving New York City behind you, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps that might be the case. Yeah, we've been here for a little bit. It's kind of post-pandemic world. Well, not post-pandemic world. A little bit on the other side of it, but we kind of came back for a variety of reasons, and might be calling this place home again. So it's interesting, and it's it's been kind of bizarre to land here. I think the last time I lived here I was 18 years old, so it's a little it's both familiar and unfamiliar at this, but it's cool.
Right.
And I've always had quite an affinity for Dayton, Ohio, and so yeah, it's cool to be back.
Ooh.
That's awesome. Are you far from Eaton?
No. Are you?
Do you remember? Do you remember that one of my favorite parables is that I was having such a good time that I didn't know if I was dating a consensual lover from Eaton or eating a consensual lover from Dayton. That's a good one, huh?
I do remember. I thought you were doing a much more G-rated.
Did you hear me woke that up? I woke that up for you, Eric.
You did. It's a very 2021 revamp. Good call.
We're all consensual lovers here, geeking out in the cave of Nicholas Cave. That's right, man. It's so great to be here from Washington, D.C. Things are going well, David Henigman. Thanks for having us tonight.
Sure. All right. Okay. Yeah. Fox,
I'm here to. Okay, with the help of this album cover, I'm here to repent for David Wells. David did not get caught stealing from Phantasmagoria, and we did not get banned from the store. They just closed suddenly. That's why we stopped going. I thought it was due to our thievery, and we were expelled, but that wasn't the case. So I needed to say that before we got started. That was from last week. So yeah, happy Hoo Day, by the way, to you, Eric. That was 5/15 last week. Happy Hoo Day to you.
Okay, so Eric, you chose today's topic. Why did you choose this album?
Oh man, I mean, other than the fact that it's brilliant, I don't know. I mean, this is an album that, well, one is obviously, time. I think it's poetic, it's dark, it just has always spoken to me. I remember the first time I saw Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, it was on this tour at Lollapalooza. And I specifically remember not being terribly aware of the band at that time. I think I was like, 16 years old, and these guys in suits came out, and it was 98 degrees and they looked like, strung out, and began playing like this just, dark and incredible music. And I remember that everyone I was with was there to see the Beastie Boys and didn't really care. And I just remember like everyone kind of like, going off, and I sat there just really kind of fixated on them. And, a few more years went by, and they weren't really my radar. And then I ended up working at a framing store in Columbus, Ohio, with an old friend of mine now named George Hondrulis, who was just a the Nick Cave aficionado, and every day he would bring in stacks of Nick Cave records, and little by little I was just like, kind of having a flashback to that show.
Uh-oh. Oh no, freezing up. All right, now pause. Okay. Yes.
What was the last thing you heard?
You said, yeah, you were when your buddy George, I think you said,
Okay.
was bringing
Yes.
a bunch of Nick Cave albums, and you remembered the Lollapalooza show, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, at that point, kind of ingesting Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds on a daily basis through him was really like transformative. It was just like something that just absolutely crushed me at that point in time, and I just became obsessive about it. I wanted to get everything. I mean, lyrically, it was just so outstanding. Musically, it was brilliant. I loved the whole vibe of the band, and it was like one of those bands that hits you at the right time in your life where it just resonates with you 1000%. And it was just, it was an incredible experience. And I found myself driving to New York City to see them play, for like a day. They were like the Roseland. I was like, I'm going, So, from that moment on, I've just been, I've been a disciple of the band, and that album in particular. I mean, I wrestled with, once I zeroed in on him, I wrestled with which album, for about 10 minutes, and I was like, stop making yourself crazy, just pick one. So, I think this one's pretty flawless. There's one track on there I don't love, but other than that, man, like it's pretty much a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. And I just love it, and I don't think they'll ever stop loving that record. And for as many times I've seen them play live, in like Red Right Hand or, Let Love In or Do You Love Me, pop up in the set list, it's like always a special moment in the set, I think. So, yeah, for, those reasons and more, I think it's just such a phenomenal record.
That is great. And I got to say, you are older than your years, Mr. Mahoney. 16-year-old kid taking that in. And I think that's why I missed it, because in 94, I was just a 22, and even I was too young to understand. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I had heard it. I definitely respected it. I knew it was something, but it wasn't for me yet. I was I was at the same Lollapalooza, maybe.
Yeah,
Columbus?
probably all of it. That was Polaris, right? In Columbus, right?
I was at the Cincinnati one. Okay. So I was at
Riverfront. Cool.
Yeah.
At Riverfront or at the
I think it was called Riverbend at the time.
Riverbend. Okay. Nice. Oh, we had a great time in Columbus. We have hilarious stories there, and I do remember their performance. Yeah, I do. But we weren't in the front during their performance.
Well, and they were on like or something.
Yes, they were much earlier.
I remember like literally walking in, sitting down,
They're like first.
Smoking weed with a bunch of people in the grass, and then it was like
we may have missed them to see GBV or something.
Yeah, they were on the second stage. That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah. There was a lot of that was a good year. That was a really good year. It always like that seeing that made a mark on my brain that would be activated years lader, and I'll always remember it.
Yeah, way to go, and thank you for choosing this again. And it really speaks to your. I'm always excited to hear the why, and that's a fast arrow of how into your young self to make that happen. And knowing you, Eric, thank you again for making such a great film about the Brainiac documentary, Transmissions from Zero, is fantastic. You can hear. You can hear that same kind of passion within, knowing that you do love Brainiac. You can hear a little of that in Nick Cave too. I think at times, we can get into that as we dive deep, but I can see where I'm now knowing you, the connection to Nick Cave. But again, so at 16, did you start wearing like suits and vests?
No, but 20s, absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah,
I was into this
more
album.
than one band, but
Go ahead.
is that?
Oh, well, I was going to say, unlike Kevin, I was totally into this when this album was out. Yeah.
You were.
Yeah.
You were a darker cat. I was more sunshine and Cat Stevens, man. And I mean, you could call us a hippie. David Wells, you were a hippie. Same kid I'm talking. We had some grateful sides. Anyway, I couldn't because this is so dark. I was like, I needed to do heroin to get into it. It was heavy. It was serious. And at 20, At 22, I wasn't ready for it. I was like, I'll get there. Like there, I knew I had a long life to go. And at those ages, I just didn't get into it yet. I respected it. God, because I knew some of the songs, definitely. Not as much. I just didn't, So anyway, that was my entry. And then later on, I caught up later, like now.
Same.
I get it now. Because how old was Nick Cave in 1994 when he wrote this? Late 30s, mid 30s?
I want to say late 30s.
Yeah.
Do you know offhand?
Yeah,
How old?
I don't know. I would venture to say younger than that.
Early 30s, because he's been through
30s.
something, but not everything. Because he's almost happy.
Yeah.
He wrote this in Brazil. Is that right? He was like hanging out. He got away. He wrote it in Brazil. I recall.
I think that's yeah. It's just he's just again, for me, it was like the writing. It was just the lyrics would just absolutely kind of penetrated my skull, and I was just kind of like, wow, this guy is a fucking incredible writer, and it's and it's not, and it's being accompanied by such interesting and dark music that it's just the whole package, I mean, seriously, everything's like very well curated. And I like the serious. I like the serious a lot. I always have. I mean, I like all kinds of things that are irreverent and stuff too. But yeah,
absolutely.
He just absolutely resonates with me, and I think his chip is outstanding. His writing is outstanding, and his fashion sensibilities are outstanding.
Yeah, hilarious. And so, David, I think you did push him in Dayton a bit. Because Eric, David, and I were college compadres from Dayton, cool. Catholic schoolboys, and we show up in Dayton together in 1990. We're there till 94. I stick around in Dayton till 96 in the band and stuff. But you do bring and push Nick Cave on to us a bit. I think it was you more than any other.
Yeah, and I was especially into this album. And my friend Jake in Cleveland had the other ones, Murder Ballads and Henry's Dream. Yeah, so I mean, I knew. Yeah, I'm kind of familiar with his other albums, but the one I know best is this one. So I'm really happy you chose this. And
all of those are equally as outstanding to me. But this this one was sort of my entry, my point of entry, and always kind of sticks out a little bit above the rest for that reason. I think only.
Me too, I'd say. Yeah. Boatman's Call's another great one. Well, Eric, I thought I'd show you where Fox and I lived at Dayton.
How about that?
This would be so 92, the school year from 92 to 93. Okay, so this here is, I'm happy to see that Second Time Around Records
a couple years
still
ago.
there, right?
Well, it's physically there. I don't think it's a record store anymore, but
okay. Okay.
It's living up to its name.
Okay, yeah. So that's Brown Street.
Yeah, Brown Street. This Burger King is the Burger
King still there?
Don't know.
Okay.
I hope so. I got a cup still, and I can go there and fill it up anytime because that's what we used to do.
That's right.
There's the tree. That's our backyard tree, David.
So we ate a lot of Burger King during those days. They had a 2 burgers, 2 fries, $2 deal. You remember that? That was like all I ate. It was awful.
During Lent.
But I think this was our house, right, Fox? The 4th one or the 3rd one?
It was one with the tree.
Oh, really?
Because your boy from Cleveland climbed it and fell down.
Okay, but it doesn't look like it's that. I think it's one of these thin houses, right?
I agree. I do remember a tree coming into play.
So we're about a 5-minute walk from Walnut Hills. We used to go to Walnut Hills a lot, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just in the foreground.
And when I remember my room was kind of in the back of the house, and Burger King was open all night. And I could hear the freaking drive-through all night long. I could hear this voice like, "Would you like an apple pie with that?" The entire night. But yeah, so this was Well, I lived here a year, Fox. I think you guys actually moved back in, so you were here like a long,
Yeah,
long time.
we stayed there for a while. We stayed there and we got to know the local folks in the neighborhood and got to understand a lot of things. And I've gone on to work in the public schools here in Washington D.C. for 22 years now. And I mean, we got to know the people of Dayton because we had like the neighborhood kids, just coming in, taking bread from us and stuff. And we'd be like, what was that? And they'd go out with like a loaf and they'd come and just just hang out with us. They were hilarious kids. It was a great time living there. But I mean, we were there to have fun. Every Friday night, we'd tap a keg at midnight there in back of Burger King. Brought them a good time, I'm sure. Brought them a lot of business. It was great. Where about and so where were you in those in those years? You were in Dayton then in '94, right, Eric?
Oh yeah, I was in high school. I lived in North, just north.
Nice.
So very this I
Beaver Creek, Kettering.
No, just North Dayton. So if you're driving north out North Main Street out of the city or something, just right up.
That's south. You're right. That's south. All right, I forget. North Kettering and stuff is south. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, just to move forward to our guest, right? So
don't mix those two up.
Yeah, both Fox and I are big fans of your Brainiac documentary, so we're delighted to have a chance to talk to you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. That was an honor able to make that.
Yeah, this came out in 2019. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, we did festivals and theatrical in 2019, and then it came out on VOD and DVD in 2020. Like literally about 2 weeks before the world shut down, we had our release party in Brooklyn with Manor Aster Man played, and it was the last time I was out in a crowded room.
Wow.
Yeah, that was tough timing, but that's great timing, and Brainiac is a band about timing, and that timing kind of worked. Sorry.
No, I mean, we literally got that thing right in under the radar. I mean, it was in hindsight, it's bizarre to think about it because, I mean, when we premiered this at South by, like it's really difficult to get a film into like a major film festival, especially one that's like being pushed up a mountain by like a couple of people and some crowdfunding money. So the next year, when South by was one of the first things that was canceled, I just like my jaw just drops. I couldn't imagine like putting in all the work that we put in for years and then that happening to us. I think that would have been just soul crushing. And so my heart broke for all the filmmakers that we're getting ready to premiere that that year and that spring in particular, because I just that would have been awful. And it was a wonderful experience for us to tour it.
Absolutely. I saw it in I was on the ground level, buddy. I knew it was special, and so I threw in my hat full of cash, whatever I had at that week, and then and so that was good. So again, way to go. I saw it here at the Black Cat. I dragged some friends to it. We saw it here in DC. They put up the big screen in one of their side rooms. It was a great screening.
Yeah, I remember that.
And there was like 20, 30 people. It was great. We're all scooching in our chairs. It's really hard to watch that, and then you're just sitting there in your chair and your beer. And it was me and Coogan watching it, and we both saw the guys live a bunch of times, and it was just really special. I can't thank you enough for trying to put that stamp on it. It needed to happen, and you got all the gang talking, Fred Armisen and everyone else. So thank you for that so much.
Yeah, like I said, it was a pleasure. I mean, those guys were heroes to me growing up in Dayton. Seeing them
again, so young. So what the frick, man? So go back. You're young. You're really a savant digging the music at that age. So you were going to Brainiac shows, eh?
Yeah, the all ages ones for sure. Yeah, I mean, I was checking out, Guided by Voices and Brainiac and you know, I mean, I was, you know, that's when I started learning how to play guitar when I was like a freshman, and that's all. So, you know, having like this really fertile.
Oh, freezing up.
Patience, he'll come back. There he
There he
is.
is.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
Timing.
No, I was just
suspense.
saying, you know, it was really cool to have like, you know, this really fertile ground of creativity like in your own backyard as a kid, like especially in like a really small Midwest town that by all intents and purposes shouldn't have like this copious amount of like cool, you know, stuff happening. It was really inspiring to like see like, oh wow, I can get in a band, I can do this, I can tour, I can, you know, make a splash, I can be weird, you know, I can, you know, all these things.
That's right.
Really empowering to see as like someone who's just behind those guys a little bit. You know, I was like 6, 7, 8 years younger than those guys, and so it was just really incredible to see that, you know. And again, it was like it made me feel like this unattainable, you know.
Yeah.
That's what yeah, Brainiac and GBV are all about, right? Making people believe that they can do it too, right?
And yeah, and Nick Cave has that same energy. You know, when he's on stage walking around pointing his finger, you know, singing and everything. Is Eric still with us? You believe him. You're under his spell and you're like, yeah, I can do that too. I can tell the drummer to wear a vest.
Here, I'll pause it, Fox. Yeah, I wanted to mention your film North Dixie Drive, with which Jim Jarmusch, no less, called a perfect cinematic piece of cultural anthropology. Yeah, so I've seen parts of that movie. Yeah, very very interesting, and kind of a Dayton, a love letter to a certain part of Dayton. Would you say?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't. I don't know. I have to talk to my therapist as to why I only choose centric films to make. but yeah, that was a ton of fun. And you know, my wife's family has some businesses on North Dixie Drive, and you know, kind of visiting those shops for a while and just kind of hanging out and seeing, you know, the cross section of people that would come and go. It was always like super fascinating to me. And it was about at the time where I moved to New York for a little while, and I was kind of getting out of music, and I was transitioning into like wanting to become a filmmaker. And I had attended like this film school that Werner Herzog does or did.
Oh.
And you know, I attended that because I directed like a short, and then I kind of came out of that really inspired and kind of feeling like I want to do something. And that story had always kind of just been rattling around my head to like just kind of take a snapshot of like this little microcosm in North Dayton of like these, you know, kind of eccentric businesses and people that operate there. And so yeah, it was fun. It was like a really fun project, and I learned a lot doing it. It was cool.
Got some wrestling in the movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can get wrestling in the back of a flea market, get it.
We're big fans. We'll have to do another thing about wrestling. I'm a big fan of wrestling. That's amazing. And yeah, I the fellow you mentioned, his films are nuts. They're great. Oh my God. And his voice is great. But yeah, backyard wrestling in Dayton. I'm familiar with backyard wrestling here in DC. Some of my I'm a public high school teacher. Some of my students got into that. That's some heavy duty.
Yeah, it's a weird world.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
And you also did Madly, right? You were the producer of Madly, which I mentioned. My friend or acquaintance Sono Shion worked on that, right?
Yeah. That's such a weird coincidence. I love his work, and it was so cool to work with him on something, man. Like, yeah, his work's so outlandish and interesting. Yeah, I met him in a hotel room at the Toronto Film Festival that year because I was starting to put the film together, and he was like one of the people on the short list that we wanted to get. And we had a very bizarre conversation about his idea for the short film and this like anthology about love stories about a family that's a family, literal family that starts visiting a sex club together. And it was really interesting to have that conversation through a translator. And yeah,
Nice.
it was cool. But I ultimately left thinking like, you know what, I should just trust him to do this, and I think it'll be kind of awesome. And and literally like that's one of the showstoppers of that anthology, in my opinion. And certainly like taking that out on the festival circuit for that year, was that piece was commented on more than any others probably. It's really an interesting piece. And to execute that topic in the way that he did it, it's like almost completely non-offensive too, is kind of brilliant.
Yeah, that's kind of the realm he tries to live in, like really bizarre, twisted things, but he tries to make them palatable and beautiful, kind of. And
he's wonderful. We got to have drinks after the premiere at Tribeca that year. Like around the corner, we kind of ducked out, and a few of us had drinks. And yeah, he's an interesting cat, man. I like him a lot.
Did he speak English to you, or was it all through a translator?
Well, that
he can speak English. You got to push him.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So like when we met, it was like he speaks no English, and so we had this whole like thing, and I was like, okay, cool. And then when the film comes out, like we're having drinks, and we're just carrying on a conversation in English. I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, was that just like some sort of mind fuck of like, like
he could do it. Yeah. It's a lot of Japanese people are like that, right? They're a bit hesitant to
work the room.
Yeah. But
it was a trip. Yeah, I was like, what did you learn English in the last 12 months? That's insane. No, he's very, very fluent in English, and I enjoyed his company quite a bit. That was really, really fun to work with him, and that was a really fun project as well. Gael Garcia Bernal does a film on that, and so does Mia Wasikowska, who I really like, and Sebastian Silva. Bat for Lashes did her first film, which I thought was really exceptional. Natasha Khan is her name, but her music moniker is Bat for Lashes. Anurag Kashyap from India. Yeah, it was a really good collection of interesting, international filmmakers. It was really fun to put that together.
Yeah, I met Sono in 2009, and I interviewed him, and we wound up on the cover of this magazine, Metropolis, which was
cool.
Yeah, it's the biggest English language magazine in Japan. And
Print of Darkness could be a title for our special guest Nick Cave as well.
Yeah. Getting back to that, yeah.
Well, it's funny that film Madly gets pointed at the way you and the team and went through this anthropological look in this film, and the way Brainiac also gets this anthropological kind of deep dive. That's interesting that both those terms get toted for what you put your hands on. And I agree with you, man. If at 16 you understand Nick Cave, then you're the same kind of Margaret Mead kind of person that can sit there in the jungles and get things, right? That you can get things that aren't always the same as you. Find that connection, the human connections.
Perhaps, yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Everything's about that, right? I mean,
yeah.
You either make those connections and really like, resonate with people, or you don't.
That's great.
Yeah, after seeing your film and thinking about Brainiac a lot recently, I made them the poster boys for my this is a indie rock class I teach. And
you teach a class in indie rock.
Yeah. So last year the poster boys were Neutral Milk, but yeah, I decided to make them Brainiac this year for when the students log on to the online syllabus, they see a picture of Brainiac. So
are you Professor White Belt?
Yeah.
Professor Short Hair, Professor Receding Hair.
Oh, Eric, by the way, will there ever be a version of the documentary with Japanese subtitles? I'd love to show it to my class sometime if that's in the works.
That's a great question.
You can do that on the technology, no?
Not really.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know.
No.
It's subtitled in Spanish, but I don't think it is in anything else to my knowledge. I think that the distribution company just did the Spanish.
By now, there's a Japanese cover band, Brainiac songs.
That would be amazing.
That would be great.
thoroughly like to see that.
There
Yeah.
is a GBV cover band in Tokyo, but they're I think
Oh my God.
3 foreigners though. It's three foreigners and
Okay,
one Japanese guy.
That's
That's
All right, trying to move forward to our top. Yeah, so yeah, Eric, I wanted to mention your band, right? Murder
Hey.
Your Darlings. So
Yes.
when were you guys around? What years?
Good question. So this would have been like 2002 to about 2000. I'm gonna say 8 was our last show. No,
Okay.
maybe 2009. I'm gonna go ahead and go with 2002 to 2008 is my final answer.
Nice.
But yeah, we had a couple of records out. We were on Reptilian Records out of Baltimore. Did some touring. Yeah, man, those are great years. That's Scott Bodine, who is Michelle
Yeah.
Bodine's brother from Brainiac. So there's a little
Yeah.
tie in there. And
Omatics.
This is him on the
Omatic,
left is Scott Bodine. I'm sorry. That's
What's that?
which one is Scott?
The
That's-
good-looking one. The good-looking one in the back.
So
all right.
the blonde guy.
Yeah.
Yes. Laser pointers on him now.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, he was in a fantastic band with Michelle called Omatic. After Michelle left Brainiac, and he was also in a band called The Method with Nate Farley and Craig Nichols. Nate more probably most famously from Guided by Voices and the Amps. Yes, I mean he's a staple of the Dayton music scene.
I watched your video for Miss Compromise. That's a cool video.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That was my that was the first time I got an iMac and I learned that you could make a video on iMovie.
There's a lot of like cool old footage in there, right? Nosferatu and other things going on in there.
Yeah, I was just ripping a bunch of old crazy, movies and like, anti-drug commercials from, the 50s and 60s and what just stuff that looks
I like the Derek Hess artwork here on the cover, right?
Yeah, he did both of our albums. I'm a huge Derek Hess fan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very I was so flattered. We'd done a demo tape or something and then like heard through the grapevine that a friend had given it to him and he really liked us, and then he invited us up to play a show at Peabody's, I think it was. He was doing some sort of benefit show and we went up there and played, and then we talked to him afterwards, and I was just kind of like, would you please do our album cover? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. And I was like, oh yes.
Right.
Yeah, I've always loved his artwork. I remember seeing it, all over the place throughout the whole 90s, and he's really a talented guy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
All right. Now
Our boy Phil.
Focus.
Yeah, now we'll get into talk about album covers. Yeah, our boy Phil has Derek Hess all over his house in frames. This is like, I definitely remember this album cover, you bringing it. Did you have the, no, I wouldn't have seen it in 94 there. It may have come across our desk. It what the fuck? I mean, it obviously screamed Bowie to me, I think, when I first saw it in 94.
Yeah.
I was like,
I can
what's
see that.
going on here? Right?
I could see that for sure.
It's so damn striking.
Because I was thinking if I just saw this picture, like, and I didn't know, and there's no name on it, and I didn't know it as an album cover, I think I would think it was Julian Cope. Like it doesn't.
In 94.
Yeah, or like even now, like if you just look at it quickly, Nick Cave is usually such a strong like photographic presence, right? But usually he's looking at the camera.
I
right?
really don't even think it's Nick Cave, It doesn't even look like him. I know it's him, right? But it's just, yeah. That's how bare the album is, I reckon, right? That's what he's going for here. Naked.
I think so. Yeah.
Like-
I think it's great. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's haunting for sure.
So haunting. He's way too skinny. I don't know that kind of skinny, man. I mean, I don't know We're
Mm.
Americans, like, and he's Australian. There's supposed to be a little meteor over there. I don't know where, but look how thick his neck is. His neck is thicker than his arms. Anyway, it's just it's haunting. It, like you said, Eric, it's like, holy smokes. And I don't even know, is that fire behind him, or is it more like a something else, a sun? I don't know.
I think it's a curtain.
Oh,
Oh, you know what? That actually looks similar to the curtain from the video for Do You Love Me?
Yeah,
think.
and the back cover, right? So I think it's a curtain there they've used in this photo shoot.
That's a good call. That might be it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you weren't kidding when you said we're geeking out here. You're right. and what he's looking at, that's great. That's great. But what's great also is that I don't think we ever see this. I mean, I'm not okay. Then you have to correct me, because when I see him live and stuff, he doesn't pull this kind of shtick look ever again. This is like, boom, album cover. Now I put my suit on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, agreed. Yeah, I mean, he's always very well.
Does he do this during a music video or anything? I didn't see it.
I feel like there's some shirtless crawling around in some music videos.
Oh, is there?
I'm thinking
Okay.
of Lover Man, I think, where they all are hypnotized, or allegedly they all get hypnotized for that video. Have you seen that? Or like they all like literally like got hypnotized?
I heard talk about it. I don't think I've seen it.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean that's the story anyways, that the band all, succumbed to hypnosis and then like kind of crawled around the floor and did odd shit. I have no idea if that's true or not, but that's the story that they present anyway.
We'll have to check that.
That's great. I mean, he is, just to talk about, and we're about to take the deep dive now. I mean, what an amazing artist Nick Cave is. What a long career. And I really think he's beyond time and space, because he's doing things that are timeless and in a really awkward time. He's never really fitting, I think, into his decades that he's performing, because he's still as relevant as he's ever been. And yet he's done a lot of different things. Like when I think of music videos, like I feel bad that he got stuck having to make music videos, like, because you don't really have to make them anymore, right? But the ones he made are really remarkable. I watched a couple. I didn't see the one you just mentioned, but it's just a tough time to do the kind of rock he's doing, because in essence, he's a blues rock artist with this. I don't know. He's really goth, like early goth, in a different style of goth. This goth rock blues, it's insane. It's a really different kind of thing, which is why it was too mature for me at the age I first found him at. Not for you, Eric Mahoney, doing heroin at 10. You were ready. You were ready for him.
Ironically, too, I think he is as popular as he's ever been. I mean,
you're right.
The last time I saw him was at the Barclays Center, which is the Brooklyn Nets basketball arena. I had never seen him in that kind of a venue before.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, his tours consistently seem to be larger and larger and larger, and I don't know. I'm not going to do the old man purist weigh in on that thing.
But this is your boy. You're allowed to, right? This is your guy. This is what we're here for.
Well, I mean, that was my least favorite show that I've ever seen of his, and I've seen a lot.
Of course. Well, because he's what, fucking 50, 60 now?
Well, I think it was just more the environment. I feel like his ability to really engage and again connect with the audience and almost act like some sort of Svengali on stage and like put a trance over people is muffled a bit in an arena environment, and so I mean, again, I don't mean to like.
No, wait till we see this clip.
About it, but
we'll watch this clip from '94 and we'll see what you're talking about. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, his stage presence is unmatched. And I again, just like I think that the larger the venue, it's a little more impersonal. And some bands are great. I mean, I'd never seen a stadium show until I was like in my 30s. Like I just refused, and then I started like going, and I was like, this is cool. Like I saw AC/DC at the Garden. I was like, this is fucking awesome. This is how it's supposed to be. They have cannons blowing shit up, and it's great. Like this is fine. It's okay to go to a stadium show. So I'm not on that trip anymore, where like it has to be in a club. But for the bad seeds, doesn't hurt to see them in a smaller venue. I mean, I've also seen him play for like in a room of 300 people, like play solo. On piano, and like that's fascinating to watch.
Oh, I'm sure.
So,
Besides the 94 show, I've never, and I think I was near them. I don't recall seeing them. I don't think I haven't seen them. David, did you ever see them live beyond?
other than that, Lollapalooza, no, unfortunately. So, Eric, how many times have you seen him?
Guys.
I'm so sorry, Eric. I know I feel like such a lemming sitting here, but let me tell you, the live footage we're gonna see, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, how many times?
I have no idea. A lot.
Wow.
Like
Good
Guided
for
by
you.
Voices a lot.
There you go. That's where I am. That's great, man. Well,
All
but
right.
okay then, Eric. All right, if we're getting into you, Eric, then I don't mind. I don't mind taking another step into the cave, because different kind of people and bands to follow and go towards have something to offer. What is it about Nick Cave has to offer? Because I think we all know about this mongering pain and this romance and melancholy, but what is it you're searching for by following this? Because that's a tough sell, right? Romance and melancholy. Why has it been so long?
Good question.
Gotcha. Fucking cans.
Well, I mean,
It's tough. This guy is deep as shit. I mean, that's why I kind of it was caution to the wind kind of person to me.
That's what's so terribly appealing, I think.
Yeah.
He is he's I love his surliness and also his deep connection with humanity. I like that. Like, I like that concept of this guy that is in this rainy ocean town, and goes to his typewriter every day and writes this brilliant material that's haunting and dark and brooding. And he's like in a suit and he doesn't need to be. He could be in sweatpants, but he's not. He's like he's in a suit, and he's like typing and he's making this incredible work. I mean, he's the quintessential definition of like what an artist is. I mean, he writes. He's a musician. His voice is incredible. He has a fashion sense. He has an innate ability to hold a crowd of tens of thousands of people in the palm of his hand. He's charismatic. It's the whole package. It's the whole package.
Yeah. I mean, how much have you loved then? God. So then you're in for the whole thing, because one of the reasons I've hesitated from even walking hand in hand with Nick Cave is because I know the man walks a tough line and I don't want to go there with him. He's had such a tumultuous life, it seems, and to walk that line with him and to know how he interprets it in his albums is also a hard journey to go with him. So are you telling me you've like gone with him through this? Because this has been a tough time for Nick. I mean, Nick Cave's had a tough life. I think he's had a tough life, right? No matter all the accolades and awards and rock and roll's great, at the end, he's had a tough human scarred, just a good old human tough scarred life.
Well, I mean, he's certainly gone through what I would consider to be like maybe the worst thing you could go through, in losing a child, Yeah. So, I mean, all everything up to that. I mean, I'm sure, but that's certainly something that you don't really.
Mostly love and drugs, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean that's secondary to the loss, But yeah, I mean, I just think again, I like to exercise demons through art and through, expressing things in darker ways than what I would like to express as a friend and father and husband and so forth. And so, I feel like latching on to, doing that in a hyper creative way that's steeped in like this really literary, beautiful, excuse me, writing it was really always appealing to me, is to like kind of take those journeys and these little, also as a filmmaker, I mean, I think actually, maybe to get more at the root of this, he's a brilliant storyteller, and to go on these 3 to 5 minute journeys that are so cinematic and so literary are like just little gifts, because you can start to put your own, kind of spin on things and interpretations of lines, and feel like you're in this world with these characters, which is hard to do. I mean, there's not a lot of artists that can paint a picture that quickly and that succinctly, and that brilliantly, within the constructs of a 3 or 4 minute song. So, that's I think at the end of the day what really started to appeal to me. I'm not particularly like a lyric person. I'm not usually the person that's like pouring over liner notes per se, outside of like kind of the greats, if you will. But he is someone where I'm dead on paying attention to the lyrics, primarily because they're front and center and being sung in this like incredibly like, compelling baritone voice, but also they're just so damn compelling and full of this imagery and these settings and these characters that just like immediately pop into your head. It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, he wants you to hear the lyrics clearly, right? Like he doesn't mumble or garble anything. It's all just like very clearly.
It's the anti-David Yao.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So you don't even have to read the lyric sheet, right? Because you could hear him so clearly.
Yeah, I mean, his voice is front and center and everything. And, I think it's for 2 reasons. One, he has an amazing voice. And 2, he's an exceptional writer. And so why not showcase that?
And you said it about his surly humanity, Eric, and the fact that it took time for him to realize that it kind of had to be Nick Cave and the whatever, because I mean, even his time in a birthday party's wonderful, but a birthday party is about one person, and someone's leading this ship, and he's a captain. And even though he writes, I don't know, what does he write mostly on, the piano or the guitar? Because to see him front the band like that, it's just magical to see how he works with the band. And you've been in a band, and I've been in a band, and I'm still in a band. It's so hard. But writing songs with him, and you probably know this, how does he write his songs with his band? Because then when he performs as Nick Cave, as opposed from Birthday Party with this kind of the same guys but different guys, how does that transfer? And then we're gonna watch a live clip because we got to hear some music soon.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because it seems like he's always gravitated towards one kind of co-conspirator in the band during different periods. There's like Mick Harvey, who was like Blixa for a while, and now over the course of several years now, it's been Warren Ellis, and they did the Grinder Man project together, and they seem like they're completely, simpatico in terms of like those are the 2 main guys. And so it's interesting that he has kind of attached to different kind of co-writers in the band that have been elevated and fallen out of favor or whatever over the years. It's interesting.
Right. He seems to be prolific, right? He's prolific. He's a guy that writes about his life, and his life writes through his songs.
I would agree with that.
I think he seems to have a definite work ethic, like from what I've gathered from interviews I listen with him. Like he'll block off a section of the calendar and be like, okay, I'm writing my next album at this time. Yeah. And he'll
no, that's
wake
what I mean.
up
like,
and put on a suit, like you said.
Literally. No, I meant that completely literally. I mean, from what I understand, he gets up and he walks out to his office and like types for till all day, and has this work ethic, and that's also really respectable, I think, in a lot of ways.
Has his book been written, like a biography, autobiography? I don't know.
He's written novels.
Know the answer to that. Yeah.
He's written novels himself, fiction and nonfiction.
He's penned several fiction novels. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean his story, because I don't know what's made Nick Cave, because Australia is a little bit of a mystery to us in the States. I know Australia, of course, it's history, but the people that come out of there are always a little funny, and artists are way different. We don't get hardly any, and the ones that do are kind of tragic. And I want to know more about Nick Cave's story, and this is helping me learn more. And because, good God, I mean, Australia plants a sunny face on about everything, right? And to see this kind of, what is this, pre-goth? This is like post-Robert Smith goth. Like, I don't know how Nick Cave got goth. That's what I want to know, is who's getting goth rock deep in Australia, because I mean it's a really lovely place, and from at least stereotypically, right, you can get dark in a house easy with your mom and dad, you know, very quickly. So that's what I mean. Is he catching it from the house, or is he catching it from the radio?
There was a series of lectures that he did that I think my friend George, who I mentioned earlier, I think
Nice.
he probably, I'm sure he gave them to me. And I remember driving around in my car and listening to them for like weeks, because there was many volumes, I think. But he gets into his backstory and his relationship with his father, and how his father was this, like, you know, really heavy, you know,
That's it.
He was a professor, and, you know, books and all this kind of stuff. And so, if you ever want to take a deep dive, I don't recall what the name of this box set was or whatever, but he did this series of lectures that were really interesting. I remember listening to and giving a lot of insight into like his childhood and how he's kind of arrived where he is.
A book I was going to mention a bit later is Boy on Fire by Mark Mordew. He researched for 10 years and has Nick Cave's blessing on and everything. And it's really just focusing on Nick as a young, you know, growing up and as a young artist. And I forgot all about that. Yes.
I'm going to read that. You read that, Eric?
No, but I forgot all about that exists. I would love to read that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks for bringing that up. That's right.
You were doing the pandemic all through the podcast. I mean, I'm sorry, the podcast all through the pandemic. You could have read that book, you know?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's
I'm going to read.
Too many things to do. I know. It's hard.
All right,
shall we listen to some music?
Pause, Fox. Let's do we'll do a live Nick and the Seeds. Wait, just to clear up, when we talked about his age, he was born in 1957. So in 1994, right, Let Love In Time, he's like 36, 37 years old. So.
Oh, thank you for that. Good to know.
Yeah. I guess that there's a certain maturity you got to be to write this album. That's for sure. He's had some experience. He's already divorced once, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the first birthday party was 1980, I think. So we're looking at, you know, he's been doing it for a decade and a half.
Oh my God. I know. He's exhausted. He's such a man. And again, Eric, you look, man, I hope your blood pressure is okay. Mine is. I'm getting there. You're an old soul, man. To get Nick Cave at age 16, you must be Romanian, right?
Irish.
Okay, so me too. That's the same thing. Same thing. You know what I mean? Deep tough.
All right.
All right, I gotta pause, guys. Okay. Okay, so just to give people an idea of when this album came out during his career, right? This is his 90s output. And I don't recall ever hearing Live Seeds, but I was into Henry's Dream. Yeah, especially Henry's Dream, Murder Ballads, and The Boatman's Call. So
I'm really sorry to interrupt. I just don't see the recording icon on you, and I don't know if that's because it's on a sidebar or not. But...
It's recording. Yeah.
Okay.
It's up there.
I can see it.
That's the producer in me being anal retentive. Sorry.
Yeah. No, thank you. But I could see the button.
Okay.
So this is the 90s were a good stretch of material for. Well, I mean, he's had a pretty solid career, but I mean, just saying this is a good stretch.
He's swimming against the current. He's swimming against the current the whole time. He's such a badass. He's
Henry's
just
Dream
a badass.
and Murder Ballads are also just absolute masterpieces.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, just
That's the one I know the most. Murder Ballads is what I know the most.
Stagger Lee. I mean, that's just like that's.
Boatman's Call. People, they ain't no good.
Yeah, Boatman's Call is chill. It took me a minute on that one actually, but it's a great record. But it took me a few listens because I was more into the kind of more rockin' stuff.
All right, looking at the band, right?
Rest in peace, Conway.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So he's been with these guys. Or some of them are still in the band, right?
Mick is still in the band, who you spoke with?
No.
Oh, no.
No, he is not.
Not still touring. Okay, currently.
Martin perhaps is the only one in down below there that still is in the band.
Oh, Eric, I'm curious. You said there's one track on this album you're kind of iffy about. What song is that?
Oh, you want to guess?
Okay. Wow, nice.
Maybe Ain't Gonna Rain Down. It's a little too sit around the fire.
It's not that one, but
it's not that one.
Somehow I want to say Thirsty Dog, but I don't know why.
No.
Lay Me Low.
Janglin' Jack, I do not like. I've never liked it. I don't know why. I don't like that song at all.
It reminds you of Billy Joel's Captain Jack. Is that what it is?
Perhaps I'm not a Billy Joel fan at all. So perhaps there is some sort of strange.
You trying to go Nick Cave versus Billy Joel right now?
That's a Mike Tyson fight in like 1988.
I'm not gonna enter that arena right now ever.
Fair enough.
Back to the album.
No, the first side A. That side A is like untouchable, and Janglin' Jack is not good.
I know. I like his use of jangling because he uses that sound. His guitars are often jangling, you know. He likes that kind of creepy spurs, that effect of jangling chains. You know, it's like that because he's got a Tom Waits effervescence about him. We could go on, you know, and so that's why I give a pass to that jangling Jack.
Don't open up the Tom Waits Pandora's box with me, sir. We will be here for 7 or 8 hours on Tom.
Well, we already went into the cave. What do you expect? It's narrow, it's wide, man. And then
Rain Dog.
But they're related, obviously. They're related.
What did you say, Eric, about Rain Dogs?
I said Rain Dogs was a contender for this show for sure.
Okay, wow. See, that's kind of why, Fox, if you remember, I was in a big Tom Waits, right? Phase. I don't want to call it a phase, but I mean, I was totally
you introduced it to
time,
me. Yeah.
94, I was just trying to cram as much Tom Waits in my head as possible. So, I mean, it makes perfect sense that I would be receptive to these Nick Cave albums too. So,
yeah. It was when Bone, what was the album that came out? Bone Machine.
Yeah.
Same time. No, these guys are the same blood, different continents, same people, international, both wear vests, wore the same suits, you know, but they're different, right? They're different times, they're different decades. But again, I don't get Australia. Now, I got a South Pacific side to me. I lived 2 years in Papua New Guinea, and I got to hang out with a lot of people from that part of the world in my work. And a guy, Honey Boy David, was the first one to introduce me to Tom Waits. But then I had a guy who gave me a mixtape, Tom Waits on one side, Nick Cave on the other. And he swore to me he was an Indian from India, Australian guy, schooling me, an American guy, on Tom Waits and Nick Cave. And of course I'm like, thank you, because that's how we Americans take our music, like via the post office, for fuck's sake. Like, we can't go down the street to hear music. We have to get it from Europe.
That's a great mixtape, though.
That's a great mixtape. I may still have it.
Oh, so the song Thirsty Dog, right? When I was backpacking in Europe in late 94, and I spent a lot of time in Prague, and my cousin, my American cousin, was studying in Prague, and we were both Nick Cave fans, right? And there was a bar in Prague called the Thirsty Dog. And of course, we thought, oh, Nick Cave definitely wrote it about this bar in Prague. But this is, I found this. They're already promoting Nick Cave coming to Prague next year, right? And they're totally talking about,
Oh,
you know, that
wow.
Nick Cave hung out in Prague a lot in the early 90s. And Cave himself was enveloped by the bohemian atmosphere of the Czech capital. And yeah, includes his song Thirsty Dog that was
Awesome.
directly inspired by the, you know, I think when my cousin told me that and we were looking, I don't even remember if we ever found it, but I have a strong association of Thirsty Dog and Prague. And I thought it was more kind of hearsay type thing. But I mean, according to this, it looks kind of legit that it's about a bar in Prague.
Interesting. I did not know that. That's cool.
Another thing I wanted to mention, so about the book, I listened to an interview with the guy who wrote Boy on Fire, and he was talking about Nick Cave's influences. And Eric, as I know you're as a proud Daytonite, you're always happy when conversation goes back to Dayton.
Woo!
I mean, I feel that way about Cleveland, right? So I was delighted to hear that Nick. I was delighted to hear that Nick Cave's a huge Para Ubu fan, right? So they're talking about when him and Roland, right, Roland S. Howard of the birthday party, right, when they were kids. I guess when they're just getting the birthday party together, right? Para Ubu had come bursting out of Cleveland, Ohio, with a sound that suggested an absurdist garage blues band penetrated by distended surf rock sounds and freaked out metallic folk influences that seem to have drifted in from the industrial no man's land. This they refer to as Cleveland. But and Nick and Roland studied it like holy text. So I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
I didn't know that either. That's a nice little
Yeah.
little
That's
nugget.
awesome.
So
The only word missing is vampire. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Dub Housing is a great record.
Yeah, Dub Housing and the modern dance. So yeah, I was happy that this came up because I kind of made a just decision that I want to talk more about Para Ubu in general. And I wasn't expecting to be able to talk about it in the Nick. I didn't know that connect. I didn't know Nick was a big Para Ubu fan, right? And but now they both live. I mean, they're buddies, right? David Thomas and Nick Cave. They both live in Brighton together, and I'm guessing they hang out and stuff. I would think.
Weird.
Yeah.
Wow. Making connections.
Wow.
This is like fertile goth. This is organic goth episode coming around here. Really. It's amazing.
Well, this is also very impressive that we've managed to tie it to Ohio in some way.
Well, I know.
I thought it was going to be impossible, but no.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Most things start to get dark in Ohio, man. I mean, by the time Louisiana Purchase happens, but there's so much sunshine in Ohio too. It's on the under. It's anyway. The people know where there are people know darkness and they know light. That's the point, I think.
That's true. But I'll tell you what, the degree of difficulty to work Ohio into the conversation in a Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds episode is quite high. So my hat's off to you.
Well done again. Well done again. Australia is roughly the shape of Ohio when you look at it on the map, though. Totally made that up.
Eric, have you ever seen?
I'm a history teacher.
Play?
No, never saw Para Ubu play.
Wow, did you, David?
Yeah, so it was the first show I saw when I came to Tokyo in '99.
Nice.
And yeah, it was, looking back on it, I think it was just one of my happiest concert experiences because this is my first time to see Para Ubu, first time to see how awesome Japanese fans are, right? It was just multi-generational, fans, and they were just hanging on everything he did. And David Thomas is just a great great showman, great. He was hilarious and, awesome performer. So yeah, great stuff. And, to see a band from your hometown rock out overseas is always cool, right? Or even your home country.
On that Devo Vine, like, why aren't they headlining the next Riot Fest or whatever? Like Para Ubu could be, although they're older. Devo's still in their 50s, maybe 60s.
Oh, but you know what? David Thomas has always looked kind of older than he is. So when I was thinking that when I saw him in 99, like, oh, he was already pretty old. But then I just figured out he was 46. So he's younger than I am now when I saw him in 99.
Oh, wow.
I thought he was so old.
I mean, they're less danceable than Devo. Don't get me wrong. Ohio's very diverse. Yeah.
And
just saying, I might buy tickets to Riot Fest. Came across the table. Do you guys want to listen to some music?
Yeah. Wait. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us again. That's been episode 31 of Blown Speakers. We're going to go out with some Nick Cave that Montgomery will introduce. But yeah, Eric, thanks for joining us. We're delighted to have you.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. It's been a blast to chat. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Montgomery.
So great having you on. So yeah, again, Eric, thanks for choosing this tonight. We're going to watch this. This is from 1994 now. I think before Nick joined the Lollapalooza tour in the United States, let's again talk about his greatness internationally. He's never even charted in the United States mostly. I mean, a couple of his albums, obviously huge in the United States, but never hit the billboards. But he consistently charted across the world, obviously in Australia, but in other countries. So we're going to go out with earlier in 94 after he released this album. This is from a monastery in Slovenia. I'm not going to try to say the name. It's there. Ljubljana, I think. And I think that's what is it. Is that right, David?
Exactly.
Ljubljana?
Perfect.
And so we're gonna see his most famous song right now. It's great to see our great artists still current, and Peaky Blinders is a great show that a lot of my friends have been telling me about. And Nick scored the theme song. Way to go, Nick! in a creepy goth, show, Nick scored the theme song. And not only did I hear that all the time, but this week in the NBA, my boy Bradley Beal from the Washington Wizards got sliced by this guy, like hard. And then Bradley came back at him like, "Hey man, don't talk about me." And then the guy's like, "Relax, I got to go home and watch Peaky Blinders." And I'm like, "Oh my God, he's going to go home and listen to Nick Cave." It's just great to see this happen still. So here we have Nick Cave in 1994. We're going to see Nick finish a song. You guys mentioned you knew which song this was. Which song is he finishing?
Papa Don't Leave Me, Henry. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, you're right. It's Papa Don't Leave Me, Henry from 1992's Henry's Dream. And then he goes into Red Right Hand. Watch how this is 1994, right? He's in Slovenia. Nick Cave's from Australia. His album is working. He's getting big. He's astounded that they know the song. Hear the crowd from Slovenia reach out to him. And he's like, "What?" And so we'll let this go. Eric, it was so good to have you here tonight, man. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Awesome talking music. Thanks for having me on. Great to revisit this record too. It's like one of those ones that's just always been with me, and but you don't think about often, and so it's cool to go back and give it a little revisit, and it's like seeing an old friend. So thanks.
Right on.
All right,
Go,
man.
Nick.
Let's take it all to that hole, punch our sheet onto the ball. Oh, cause I was bubbling on my lips, it's like the rain in the With it going on down the road.
great. Watch this.
You all right? Here's a story about a man with a red right hand. You know the song?
So they brought the bell with them on tour. They got it from Fugazi.
Take a little walk to the edge of town and go across the tracks, where the viaduct looms like a bird of doom as it shifts and cracks, where secrets lie in the border fires and the humming wires. Hey girl, you know you're never coming back. Past the bridge, past the bills, past the gifts, past the stacks. On a gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right hand. Yeah. He'll wrap you up in his arms, tell you that you've been good, girls and boys. He'll rekindle all those dreams it took you a lifetime to destroy. Yeah, he'll reach deep into the hole, heal your shrinking souls. Hey, don't you worry, buddy, he ain't coming back. He's a ghost, he's a god, he's a man, he's a guru. They're whispering his name through this disappearing land, but hidden in his coat is a red right hand.
Woo!
Yeah, it's a wrap.
And you know, you're right. That's a smooth, chill song. Every other song on that show is pretty rockin'. That's the chillest song. But also, I think people love Nick Cave for that song these days. So why not give it to him?
Sure. All right,
No.
it's a wrap. I think maybe Eric had to go to the bathroom, but yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, buddy.
All right. Oh, nice. He's a ghost. He's a god. He's a man. He's a guru. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh,
That's
with the red right hand.
That's the shirtless Nick Cave. How we love him.
Oh, did Eric?
The
Wow.
shirtless Nick Cave.
Is that an official item, like from a concert?
Just thought I'd close it out. And then my wife got that for me like a couple months ago. Like,
Oh, nice. Perfect.
so
She knows you.
she really knows me. Yeah, I just when that lyric came up, I was like, I have that shirt. So that's my parting visual reference for you guys.
Perfect.
Dude,
Perfect.
how much were you